Welcome back to LC Coins World, the place where every coin tells a story and every story reveals a piece of our shared history. Today we're exploring a coin that might seem ordinary at first glance, but holds extraordinary significance in the story of American coinage, the 1978 Lincoln penny, a coin that circulated in the hands of millions and silently witnessed the heartbeat of a nation in transition from pocket change to collector's item. This little copper coin carries more than just monetary value. It's a snapshot of America in the late 1970s. The 1978 Lincoln penny was the last of its kind to be minted entirely in copper. Before, the U.S. Mint made a historic change to a copper-plated zinc composition. In 1982, for decades, the Lincoln penny remained a cornerstone of American currency, not only because of its practical use, but because of what it represented. Designed by Victor David Brenner in 1909, to honor the centennial of President Abraham Lincoln's birth, the Lincoln cent marked the first time a real person appeared on regular U.S. coinage. The decision was both cultural and symbolic. Lincoln had come to embody unity, sacrifice, and leadership in American memory, and placing his image on a coin meant putting those values into the hands of everyday citizens. By the time 1978 came around, the Lincoln cent had already been in circulation for nearly 70 years. Yet this particular year marked the end of an era in terms of metal content. The 1978 penny was minted with a composition of 95% copper and 5% zinc, giving it a rich weight and a distinctive reddish hue over time. Environmental and economic pressures, including the rising cost of copper, forced the U.S. Mint to explore more cost-effective materials, even though that change wouldn't occur until 1982. The 1978 coin stands as one of the last chapters of the traditional copper penny story. In terms of mintage, over 5 billion Lincoln pennies were produced in 1978, split between two mint locations: the Philadelphia Mint, which issued coins with no mint mark, and the Denver Mint, which used the D Mint mark. The Philadelphia Mint produced approximately 5.55 billion coins, while Denver contributed over 4.28 billion. The San Francisco Mint also issued proof versions for collectors bearing the S Mint mark. These proof coins were struck using specially prepared dies and planchets, resulting in a mirror-like finish and sharper detail. The reverse of the 1978 Lincoln penny featured the Lincoln Memorial, which had been introduced in 1959, replacing the previous wheat ears design created by Brenner. This reverse design was the work of Frank Gasparo, who was then chief engraver of the U.S. Mint. The image not only paid tribute to the president, but if observed closely, it also depicted a tiny image of the seated Lincoln statue visible between the columns, a small but historically rich artistic detail often overlooked. 1978 was a year of subtle transformation in the United States, and the Lincoln penny reflects that society was shifting economically and culturally. Inflation was creeping into the everyday American experience. The average income hovered around $10,000 a year. Gas was less than $1 a gallon, and a penny still carried meaning. People saved them, collected them, and children were taught to count with them. Yet change was on the horizon, both in coinage and in the American way of life. For collectors, the 1978 Lincoln penny holds multiple areas of interest, though not classified as rare in circulated condition. And circulated examples, and especially high-grade proof coins, continue to draw attention. Coins graded Ms. 65 or higher by PCGs or NGC often command premium values in the numismatic market, particularly those with strong strikes, red color designation, and minimal contact marks. While most 1978 pennies remain affordable, certain era coins are especially sought after, including double die obverses, off-center strikes, broad strikes, and coins struck on the wrong planchet. These errors tell their own stories about the minting process and are treasured by collectors for their uniqueness. The legacy of the Lincoln penny also comes into focus when we look at how the coin has been used in art, education, and memory for many Americans. Lincoln cents were their first introduction to coin collecting, handed down by parents or grandparents, sorted by date and mint mark, kept in blue Whitman folders or glass jars. The 1978 edition exists within that broader emotional and historical narrative. It reminds us of a time before the digital age when money was held and examined, not swiped or tapped. The Lincoln penny remains the longest-running coin design in American history. The obverse design has remained largely unchanged since its debut in 1909, making it a powerful symbol of national identity. The 1978 coin especially represents the bridge between the past and future. It stood at the crossroads of economic change, material innovation, and nostalgic reflection on a simpler time, when a single cent could still buy something meaningful. Today, if you find a 1978 penny in your pocket or tucked away in a jar, you're holding more than a coin. You're holding a fragment of a larger story, one that includes the rise and fall of industries, the shifting tides of presidential administrations, the evolution of art and design in American minting, and the enduring power of a president's legacy cast in copper. The value of the 1978 penny may not lie in its price, but in its purpose, in its presence in our lives then and now. As you look closer at this humble coin with Lincoln's steady gaze and the memorial behind him, remember what it stands for: history, memory, and the small everyday moments that define us all. In this sense, the 1978 Lincoln penny is not just a relic of the past. It's a reminder that even the smallest things can carry the greatest meaning. Where we explore the timeless stories behind the coins we once carried in our pockets or found hidden in an old drawer. Today, we journey deep into the past to uncover the history, the production, and the true collectible value of one of the most widely circulated and historically rich coins in American numismatics. The 1961 Lincoln penny, a small copper coin with a big story that spans generations, economies, and American identity. Let us begin our journey by setting the stage for 1961, a year of transition, optimism, and progress in the United States. John F. Kennedy had just taken office as the 35th President of the United States, bringing with him a new spirit of hope and energy. The Cold War was heating up, the civil rights movement was gaining momentum, and space exploration was about to become a national priority. In this environment, the United States Mint continued its operations with precision and dedication, supplying coins to keep pace with the growing economy and public demand. The Lincoln cent, which had first been introduced in 1909, remained the most commonly used denomination. By 1961, it had already been in circulation for over 5 decades, featuring the iconic bust of Abraham Lincoln designed by Victor David Brenner. The design was introduced to commemorate Lincoln's 100th birthday and was the first time a real person had been featured on a regular issue. American coin, the reverse of the Lincoln penny, which from 1959 onward displayed the Lincoln Memorial, replaced the original wheat ears design of the early years. The 1961 Lincoln penny specifically refers to the 1-cent coin, struck at the Denver Mint, as indicated by the small D mint mark beneath the date on the obverse side. The Denver Mint was one of the primary production facilities of the United States Mint system, located in Colorado. The Denver Mint has long been known for its high volume and high-quality coin production. In 1961, it struck over 1.7 billion Lincoln cents, making this particular coin extremely common in its time, though not without its own share of intrigue and value for collectors today. The 1961 Lincoln penny was composed of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, which was the standard composition for pennies from 1909 until 1962. The weight of each coin was 3.11 grams. With a diameter of 19 millimeters, the coins were struck using high-pressure minting machines that ensured consistency and detail in the relief of Lincoln's profile. And the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse side, the inscriptions included, "In God We Trust Liberty," and the date on the obverse, along with United States of America, E Pluribus. unum, and 1 cent on the reverse. Now, let us delve into the historical and economic context in which this coin circulated during the early 1960s. America was undergoing technological advancement, social change, and economic expansion. The economy was strong, unemployment was relatively low, and middle class America was growing. This meant that cash was king, and physical currency, including coins like the Lincoln cent, played an essential role in daily life. The 1961 penny was used for everything from purchasing candy and newspapers to making change at gas stations, diners, and movie theaters. It passed through countless hands and told millions of stories with every exchange. But what makes the 1961 Lincoln penny special from a collector's perspective is not just its circulation numbers, but also the unique varieties, errors, and conditions that have emerged over the decades. Some 1961 pennies were struck with repunched mint marks, a common error during the era when mint marks were hand-punched into dies. Collectors often look for these varieties as they can increase a coin's value significantly, especially in higher grades. Additionally, some examples have been discovered with doubled dies or other minor striking anomalies, adding yet another layer of appeal to an already historic coin. Let us now talk about grading. The condition of a 1961 Lincoln penny can greatly affect its market value. Coins are typically graded on the Sheldon scale, ranging from poor, which is a grade of 1, to mint state 70 or Ms. 70, a perfect coin with no flaws at all. While circulated 1961 pennies are still worth only face value or slightly above uncirculated examples, especially in grades Ms. 65 and above, can command higher prices in the collector market in red condition, meaning the original copper luster is still present without much toning. Some examples have sold for more than $20 or higher, depending on demand and rarity. For many collectors, the appeal of the 1961 penny also lies in its place within the larger Lincoln cent series. It serves as a link between two eras: the classic copper composition that would soon be phased out, and the transitional years that followed in the 1960s and 1972, when economic pressures forced changes to coinage materials and production methods. By 1962, the United States Mint eliminated the tin from the penny composition, creating a copper-zinc blend that would eventually give way to the modern copper-plated zinc penny, introduced in 1982. As the video continues, we explore in greater detail the mintage figures of the 1961 penny, comparing them with other years and other mints. We analyze the impact of hoarding on coin circulation. We take a closer look at error varieties such as off-center strikes, clipped planchets, die cracks, and lamination errors. We walk through the process of submitting coins for professional grading and how to interpret population reports from grading services such as PCGs and NGC. We also hear from veteran collectors who share their experiences of finding 1961 Lincoln pennies in change rolls in old family collections, and even in mint-sealed bags from estate sales. We dive into auction histories, looking at how some examples of the 1961 penny have performed at major auction houses across the country. We visit coin shows and speak with dealers about the current demand for early 1960s Lincoln cents and how market interest has evolved over time. In the second half of this 2-hour journey, we look at how to identify counterfeit or altered coins and what security features exist even in older coins to verify authenticity. We provide a step-by-step guide to building a complete Lincoln cent collection, including the tools and resources you will need. We also explore how the Lincoln cent has been used in American culture as a teaching tool, a symbol of thrift, and even in art projects and memorial tributes. We wrap up our exploration by reflecting on the emotional and historical value of the 1961 penny for many viewers, especially those aged 45 and older. This coin represents a time when America felt simpler, safer, and full of possibility. A coin you may have received as a child, tucked into your piggy bank, or handed over the counter with a smile. It is more than just copper. It is a memory preserved in metal, a quiet piece of the American story that lives on in collections and conversations. So whether you are a lifelong numismatist or just discovering the magic of coins for the first time, the 1961 Lincoln penny offers a fascinating window into our nation's past and a reminder that even the smallest pieces of change can carry the weight of history. Thank you for joining us here on LC Coins World. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share as we continue to bring you the stories behind the coins that shaped America. Welcome back to my YouTube channel LC Coins World, where history lives in your hands through the coins we carry and collect today. We explore one of the most iconic pieces of American pocket change, the 1969 Washington quarter dollar coin that has quietly traveled through decades of U.S. history and holds far more significance than meets the eye. The 1969 Washington quarter is part of a series that began in 1932 to honor the 200th birthday of George Washington, the first president of the United States. The original design was created by sculptor John Flanagan and has become one of the longest-running designs in U.S. coinage history. His profile of Washington facing left with the word "Liberty" above and the national motto "In God We Trust" on the obverse has remained a cultural and patriotic symbol throughout generations. The reverse design originally featured an eagle with spread wings clutching arrows above olive branches, representing both military strength and peace. This design was deeply rooted in the nation's founding principles. By 1969, the quarter had already seen over 3 decades of minting, and the nation itself was undergoing massive change. The 60s were a time of social upheaval, political movements, and economic shifts, and the coins in circulation reflected those transitions in subtle yet meaningful ways. 1969 marked 1 year after the end of silver quarters, which stopped being produced for circulation in 1964. Following the Coinage Act of 1965, the act removed silver from dimes and quarters to preserve the nation's silver reserves and introduced clad coinage, a layered composition of copper and nickel. The 1969 Washington quarter is composed of outer layers of 75% copper and 25% nickel bonded to a pure copper core. This shift to clad coins was a turning point in U.S. coinage and signified a move into the modern era. The 1969 quarters were struck at 2 major U.S. mints, the Philadelphia Mint and the Denver Mint. Those struck at the Denver Mint carry the small d mint mark on the obverse side just to the right of Washington's ponytail. The Philadelphia issues bear no mint mark. Both types are common in circulation, but finding high-grade examples in mint state condition, especially Ms. 65 or higher, has become increasingly rare due to the heavy usage these coins received over time. What makes the 1969 Washington quarter even more intriguing is the range of errors and varieties that have been discovered by collectors over the decades. Some examples feature double dies on the obverse, where elements like the date or the word "Liberty" appear slightly doubled under magnification. These double die errors can be extremely valuable, especially in higher grades, and with strong doubling. Other errors, such as off-center strikes, clipped planchets, or die cracks, are also sought after and can greatly increase a coin's value depending on severity and clarity. From a numismatic standpoint, the 1969 quarter represents more than just 25 cents. It tells a story of a transitional era in U.S. monetary history. It was minted during the Vietnam War era under the presidency of Richard Nixon, and during a time when Americans were increasingly aware of the economic changes happening around them. Inflation was becoming a national concern, and the buying power of a quarter was very different from what it had been even a decade prior. This little coin was part of every American's daily experience, from vending machines to parking meters to phone booths. It had a presence in every pocket and every purse. In the collector market today, most circulated 1969 quarters have only face value, but as mentioned earlier, Those in uncirculated condition, especially from original mint sets or proof sets, can command premium prices. Collectors seek quarters that retain their original luster, have minimal contact marks, and exhibit sharp detail. These are often submitted to grading services like PCGs and NGC for authentication and encapsulation. The coin's value can jump significantly with a high-grade certification and any presence of rare errors. One interesting aspect of this coin is its place in the broader timeline of U.S. coinage. By the end of the 1960s, America was already looking ahead to new designs and commemoratives, but the Washington quarter remained a constant presence through the bicentennial era and beyond until 1999, when the State Quarters program began. The 1969 issue stands as a bridge between the silver coinage of the past and the modern thematic coinage of the 21st century. It holds a special place in the hearts of those who lived through the 60s and 72nds, as well as in the albums of collectors who understand its context and rarity. To fully appreciate the 1969 Washington quarter is to look beyond its face value and into its role in everyday life, in the stories it silently witnessed, and in the historical legacy it continues to carry for numismatists, history buffs, and casual collectors alike. This coin offers an invitation to connect with the past through something small, tangible, and profoundly American. So as we dive deeper into this incredible coin throughout the video, we will explore everything from its minting process and metal composition to real auction records, errors, and collector demand. We'll look at how the 1969 quarter fits into U.S. history both economically and culturally, and why it still matters today, over 50 years later. This journey is about more than money. It's about meaning. Stay with us here on LC Coins World as we uncover the story of the 1969 Washington quarter dollar and rediscover why this little coin deserves a big place in history. From a numismatic standpoint, the 1969 quarter represents more than just 25 cents. It tells a story of a transitional era in U.S. monetary history. It was minted during the Vietnam War era under the presidency of Richard Nixon, and during a time when Americans were increasingly aware of the economic changes happening around them. Inflation was becoming a national concern, and the buying power of a quarter was very different from what it had been even a decade prior. This little coin was part of every American's daily experience, from vending machines to parking meters to phone booths. It had a presence in every pocket and every purse. In the collector market today, most circulated 1969 quarters have only face value, but as mentioned earlier, those in uncirculated condition, especially from original mint sets or proof sets, can command premium prices. Collectors seek quarters that retain their original luster, have minimal contact marks, and exhibit sharp detail. These are often submitted to grading services like PCGs and NGC for authentication and encapsulation. The coin's value can jump significantly with a high-grade certification and any presence of rare errors. One interesting aspect of this coin is its place in the broader timeline of U.S. coinage. By the end of the 1960s, America was already looking ahead to new designs and commemoratives, but the Washington quarter remained a constant presence through the bicentennial era and beyond until 1999, when the State Quarters program began. The 1969 issue stands as a bridge between the silver coinage of the past and the modern thematic coinage of the 21st century. It holds a special place in the hearts of those who lived through the 60s and 72nds, as well as in the albums of collectors who understand its context and rarity. To fully appreciate the 1969 Washington quarter is to look beyond its face value and into its role in everyday life, in the stories it silently witnessed, and in the historical legacy it continues to carry for numismatists, history buffs, and casual collectors alike. This coin offers an invitation to connect with the past through something small, tangible, and profoundly American. So as we dive deeper into this incredible coin throughout the video, We will explore everything from its minting process and metal composition to real auction, records errors, and collector demand. We'll look at how the 1969 quarter fits into U.S. history both economically and culturally, and why it still matters today, over 50 years later. This journey is about more than money. It's about meaning. Stay with us here on LC Coins World as we uncover the story of the 1969 Washington quarter dollar and rediscover why this little coin deserves a big place in history.